Hello, Contractors of Colorado. It is your host, Andrew Leverins, with another episode of the Contractors of Colorado podcast. Before we jump in today, very exciting episode. It's going to be completely marketing centric. But before we get started, I want to shout out our sponsors. Thank you to the Builders Outlet for all material supply, located in Denver. Cabinets, doors, windows, trim, custom mill, getting into some decking as well. So reach out to those guys. They will take care of you. Let them know you came from our community. And then also thank you to the Business Foundry. It is an entrepreneur center here in Lone Tree. It's where we have a majority of our events. An amazing resource for us, for the contractors, and any other entrepreneurs you know. So please feel free to reach out to me, and I will be happy to connect you to the Business Foundry if you need anything for your small business. So let's get started. Today's guest, Cooper Zimmerman. How are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. To say I'm excited to bring you on board, I think is an understatement at this point. You are our strategic growth advisor, which means you are here to sit down with businesses and talk with them about their aspirations. Do you want to stay the same? Do you want to grow? And then what does that process look like? You have a deep background. I'm not trying to steal too much of your thunder here, but a deep background in marketing, in strategic implementation, business consulting, everything that we're looking for. You really fit the mold and a fun guy to be around. So
I appreciate that.
The mic is yours, man. Tell us about yourself before we dive into all that. Tell us about yourself as a person.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, first of all, thanks for allowing me to join this team. This is an incredible group. I've kind of been aware, I would say for the last year, was attending your events and realized like, wait a second, like this is a lot of the things that I believe in, my professional ethos. So glad we can make it work. So yeah, I mean, I come to this space, I guess I don't know if this is my final form as a professional, but I think a lot of roads led me to this space. I credit it, and I tell this story, it's back to my West Virginia roots. So I'm an Appalachian kid. I was a classic kid that was shoveling snow, cutting grass, 13 years old. Like, all right, instead of going to the pool and hanging out, like, how do we make a buck? So my friend and I started a lawn care company, 13-year-old classic, just knocking on people's doors, made a business flyer, put them in hundreds of mailboxes. We grew that little 13-year-old business to be, all the way through high school of probably 40 people that we did lawn care for. That's how I bought my first car. That kind of hooked me into like entrepreneurship, into marketing, into just being a voice for your own beliefs, I guess, in a way. So I came into college with that mindset, did a finance degree at West Virginia University, did an MBA degree, and then got into asset management, which was a lot of self-starting, a lot of just similar stuff, like reaching out to people, sharing your value proposition. So it kind of I've always, in my career, enjoyed being in the position to be like outward bound communication, trying to bring value to other people. Did that for a couple of years, helped small businesses take exits, small business owners manage their assets, and moved out here to Denver, and it was doing artificial turf installation and luxury putting green construction, which is certainly was a change of pace. But again, in my role, it was a core role of business development, of communication and marketing. That's where I truly kind of fell deeply more connected with contractors and with landscapers and that, the trades, working with them. And then in the background, I ran something called Mountaineer Media, which was an agency. We grew it from scratch during the COVID years of nothingness, of wanting to connect people. For about 4.5 years, we ran it from, I think we did 160 podcast episodes. We interviewed influential West Virginians, again, proud West Virginians, NASA engineers. The guy who captured Pablo Escobar is a West Virginia guy.
Shout out.
Yeah, who would have known? We found interesting people, but again, the idea behind it was to just connect people, just to grow, was to be involved. Grew it into an agency, worked with 40 clients, did social media work. So it was doing that in the background of all this work. So if you hear all those common themes, and if people are familiar with Contractors of Colorado, you can kind of see why I joined this wonderful group, is because you have a lot of those same themes. You have community-driven, there's education hubs, there's the marketing angle, there's business development, and it's supporting small businesses. So that was my kind of quick background, but it makes sense. And to me, it feels just like a perfect extension of what I've been doing and joining your group here.
Yeah. It was almost a missing piece I didn't know was missing, but I could feel on my end where we have these resources. That's where so much of our energy has been over the course of the last years. How do we put the right things in place? And the right things, they're not what we think is the right things. It's the right things that our audience has been asking for.
Right.
So we get that feedback. It's the beauty of running a group that has these, 20,000 members, 20,000 plus members at this point. We don't have to guess at what people want. We get to turn around, we get to ask them, we get to run polls in the page and all this different stuff. So we get that feedback. That's what we spend a lot of time doing, is now crafting these tailored solutions, like the general contractor exam prep course, like the marketing suite, but not just marketing. We heard, the tie-in, and we know the importance of tying it into business operations. We always joke, I'm sure we'll get into this, but what's the difference between 100 leads or 200 leads? And it's like, well, not much if you're not answering the phone anyway. So we had all these different pieces and all these solutions that we can offer to the community. And I was getting to the point where I'm like almost tapped out. So I was like, man, I want to take care of these people, but there's also other conversations that are going on, and there's only so many hours in the day. And so then I get that email kind of, hey, I really like what you got going on. You send me your vision of maybe some ideas that you have. And I'm like, are you reading my emails? Like, how do you know that so much of this is already in the works? So then we kind of sat down, and it's off to the races from there. Tell us about some of the stuff that you've been doing since you came on, just a few short weeks ago.
Yeah, I will. But I'll back it up a little bit, because I think it's an important, maybe, was I reading your emails? I think what we were spotting was a shared dilemma that I personally believe the country generally is in, is that we have a situation where, not to go into a true rabbit hole, but like a lot of our generations college was pretty much the only answer, at least from where I grew up. It was just like a foregone conclusion that individuals should just go to college, get a bachelor's degree, and go off into professional kind of white, collar work, which is great. It works out for a lot of people. I think in that gap, though, we've come to realize over the last 10 years, 15 years, is that there's a growing demand and continued importance for people that can do things with their hands. Electricians, HVAC, whatever it is, you can just generally call it blue collar, call it the trades, whatever it is. It's that, yes, we do need people to be college educated, and college does wonderful things, but there's a tremendous need, and will be continue for the next 30, 40 years, of maintaining the physical world. Everything that you interact with was built by some, man or woman that was passionate about it, that built it with their bare hands, right? So I think that dilemma, and where we're seeing it, you were getting those, it was almost like pulled out of you from your audience, is that, hey, we're out here doing this work that we think is valuable, society thinks is valuable. But as technology over in social media has vastly transformed every business aspect over the last 20 years, you had somewhat of two siloed worlds where they knew they needed to interact with each other. And now it's the true importance of, like, if you're running your small business, if you're doing the trades, maybe in the past, that was, you go to trade shows, you were just listed in the phone book, it was word of mouth, you could build a business. You kind of have to participate in the social media, in the website, in the Google ads, in the Google reviews, which I'm sure we'll dive into. You have to at least be knowledgeable of that to be competitive in this world, where so much of the customer's first introduction to your business is through your Instagram page. Like, if you're a commercial painter, who would have thought that you had to be an expert Instagram content producer? But you kind of do, because your work is highly visual. So I think we see that probably getting pulled out of our audience so much, is because we have that need now, tremendous need, of people that can do things, build things, fix things, maintain things. But for order for them to grow their business in an ultra competitive world where private equity is moving in, where big money is moving into the home service, construction world, how are you going to stand out? How are you going to brand your business? And I think we're seeing the convergence of that, and that's what this group feels like to me.
Yeah. On top of that, also being a business owner, which is sort of, if we take another step back, that's what we're up against, is these highly skilled tradespeople.
Right.
Also having to be highly skilled entrepreneurs, and you put those two together, and it's, again, there's only so many hours in the day. What are you going to focus on?
Yeah.
And who's there to help you through that process? And I think that's what we had a mutual an understanding of, was this dilemma, as you put it.
Right.
So, yeah.
So my role then, I think, is to be that connection point for them, to say, hey, look, I resonate with the blue collar. Again, coming from West Virginia, it's a very proud culture of, what can you do? It's a very resourceful people. It's a very resilient people. We live in the mountains. It's It's like, let's figure it out. Let's build this bridge. Let's erect this barn. Like, let's do something. So I feel like I've always been able to speak to that professional, like, working ethos of that group, and then had the experience in finance. So a little bit more of the technical money management, a little bit more of that financial structuring, and, full through, love entrepreneurship, love that aspect of it. My role now, I hope to be, is first and foremost a resource, a good friend, a person to just say, hey, I understand how business is. It's tough, and just be that, community liaison. I would love to. Secondly, it's like, hey, look, here are some of the things that I think from my own personal experience of growing an agency, working with small businesses, the offerings that we have here at Contractors of Colorado and the Business Foundry. My role now is to then introduce them and at least say, I want you, if you're a painter, if you're a concrete, or if you're a luxury wallpaper installer, I want you to do what your passion is. And maybe it's not being on a podcast or doing SEO work, because why should it be? Your passion is whatever the thing that you pursued is. Let us step in and be that, if you want to call us your chief marketing officer, your fractional CMO, or just idea people, or however we could be a consultant to your business. We think that we have a tremendous scale leverage. We have the resources available to step in and help your small business. Take that off your plate. So as you grow your business, and we were just talking about this, as your business grows, you'll find yourself having to do more delegation. Maybe in the early years, when I was a 13-year-old, I was the one pushing the lawnmower and putting out the flyers. But a $5 million year business landscape company, the operators cannot be the ones doing the outbound marketing work, right?
Right.
Like you said, there's only so many hours in a day. So I think we have a tremendous team, a tremendously talented team, a tremendous group of resources with the affiliates and our preferred contractors, where I can't think of a better value of, in this situation where America desperately needs small businesses. They're the backbone, you've heard it before, they're the backbone of the economy. They do a lot of the thankless work that you don't think of, like, who painted that bridge? Well, it's a contractor. Who put up that sign? Well, yeah, maybe the state of Colorado is the orchestrator of it, but they hired a contractor and a team and guys that in 2-degree weather, like we drove in today, and they went out and put that up. So these businesses are there. We need them. We think we can be a tremendous resource for them for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years to grow. And that's what I'm most excited about. And we've hit the ground running. We've had a lot of great conversations. I think people are, it's not that it's tremendously hard to understand the importance of it. It's just like, how do you go about it? Because to be fair, the marketing, the lead generation, the social media world can be a little bit confusing. You can have situations where you don't necessarily know, does views translate to business? How do we know what the pipeline of what link clicks versus website visits equals jobs on the back end, right? We think we can help storyboard that out for the contractors, and they can see it more clearly. I'll say, okay, yeah, if 1,000 people visit the website, 300 go through my lead form, 50 of them go through a phone call, 10 of them go through an estimate, 4 of them come out as customers, that equals $75,000 of revenue. Great. Now we have a formula. Now let's grow it from there. So those are the conversations we're having, and it's been a blast, truthfully, to jump into it.
Yeah, that's something that I think we hit on. It's common, like it's a constant conversation between us. Is one, we want those trade specialists to stay focused on the trade because we need them to. We also need your older, more successful businesses, the mentors, to actually turn around and mentor these up and coming tradespeople that are going to be the foundation, and they're going to be mentors, 20 years from now. And that's something we have to focus on. That doesn't mean we have the luxury as business owners to ignore the business development side, the part of actually being an entrepreneur. We tell this story of these fictional contractors that, high school was kind of a drag, not really for them. Maybe they graduated, maybe they didn't, but every summer they'd be helping their uncle roof, and they found a passion for roofing, and they were good at it, and they understood it, and it all makes sense to them. And all of a sudden, the material suppliers, you know everything inside and out about roofs, you know the processes and all the counties and municipalities to get the permits and how that works. And all of a sudden you're sitting there going, why don't I do my own thing? And so you do. And then all of a sudden you go through and you're running the crew and you're grinding every morning all day long to get to a point where all of a sudden now the business side is so demanding and you probably been ignoring it more than you should. Now all of a sudden it's sitting there right in your face and you're at this crossroads. And that's where I feel like we run into a lot of our audiences. They're at this crossroads of, what do I do? How do I grow? What am I missing here? Or I'm just simply overwhelmed with this business side. What do you see? And that, I think, is a mutual passion of ours is, well, let's just put everything on the table. Let's put all the pieces of the puzzle right in front of us.
Yeah.
And let's look and see. And the amount of times we end up having, a lot of times people come to me, we need leads. We need all these leads. And then we sit down and, okay, let's back off of that a little bit. Let's put the business on the table. And we get to that point where we understand you might not even actually need leads. You need operational efficiency. You need to answer the phones better. You need a process to follow up. How are you storing these potential clients? How are you communicating with them? I mean, there's just so many pieces of it that we are constantly learning. We're constantly staying up to date. How could we expect a tradesperson? I'm always amazed when somebody comes in and I have a website. I developed it myself. And I open it up and it looks pretty good. I'm like, congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, could things change? Could this be better? Of course, there's always things that we can do to get better. But that being said, do you know how many contractors come in here that never even attempted to do a website or, didn't take the time to know, I know your head's now in the right place, but is this somewhere you could focus? Is this where you're going to focus? Are you ever going to, watch so much YouTube after coming home at 8:30 at night and, scarfing down some dinner, putting the kids to bed? Are you ever going to become an SEO expert? And then what happens the next morning when you wake up and Google's changed policies? Are you going to, hey, never mind, cancel our meetings for the morning. I had to focus on getting up to speed on our SEO. It's just not something we want these contractors worrying about. So I think that's something between us that we've really identified as, man, this is the story. This is the audience and we want to help.
I think so. And I also think it for the contractors listening, look, I think it's admittedly tough to be able to differentiate what can I take on versus what can I outsource, right? That conversation sometimes is just a matter of like letting a little bit of control of your business go. But to your point, it's the demands now to market your business and to scale your business, it's ever changing and it's tremendously difficult. Even just 5-10 years ago, Google or podcast ad reads were not a thing. So now, but if you're a small business and if we mention your small business inside of this and 100 local people that are hyper specific to your local market hear that message, that's a tremendous deliverable for your small business to get in front of. So you can keep track of it. You can DIY your way through a lot of it, but it's just a question of like, do you want to scale? And sometimes I think sometimes people might not think of scale and or they don't want to necessarily grow in that matter. Like, what if you did 500 projects this year? Would you enjoy that? Or would you rather do 100 projects that are, more sophisticated or more complex? So I think if anything, I like being not that I'm not trying to be a therapist by any means, but I've been a financial advisor. I've sat in living rooms with husbands and wives and had difficult conversations about money. I think that I can bring, and what I enjoy to bring is that kind of the honesty of like, hey, where are you struggling? Are you struggling? Are you succeeding? Where can we double down at? Great. But a lot of the times it's like, there's a little bit of like, yeah, I know I should be doing that, but instead of maybe confronting it, it's just kind of being pushed back to the corner. We hope to maybe be able to alleviate some of that like procrastination possibly that you have in your small business by saying, hey, look, that's fine. I don't blame you. There's a million things to do as a small business owner. You don't have your Google review strategy, optimized and set up. That's nothing to necessarily be upset about other than the fact that, hey, look, from our data and standpoint, this tends to work. It is something to look into. If you could bring awareness to the issue and let people know of the different ideas and strategy, hopefully we can be that execution team for them. Which does, I don't know if we want to dive super technical, I think if you put yourself in the eyes of just the shoes of the consumer. And I'll use myself as an example. We were shopping around for a patio roof to be built over our deck, right? I looked around. The first thing I did was just Google. I just Googled literally like patio roof builders near me, right? A couple companies came up. I'm going to go to them first. I'm not going to immediately jump to the 7th page on Google. I'm probably going to go to the top 5 or 6 that pull up. What do I do next? I go to their website. Is it clean? Is it organized? Is it very functional? Can I just kind of pop in and see their About Us? Can I proudly see that they were started in 1987? Great. That gives me a little bit of social validation that they've been around for a while. If they didn't put that on their website, I wouldn't know that they've been in business for over 35 years or whatever it is. Do they have a link that I can click on their Facebook page that's embedded into the bottom of the website? Maybe I click on that. Maybe I see the fact that they've been posting hundreds of projects for the last 3 years. That's another piece of social validation that allows me to think, okay, if I contacted them to do a project, they wouldn't be, oh, great, we have a project. We haven't had one in a year. Like, I want to know that they're churning these things out on a weekly basis, because to me, that means that the market's demanding it. They're happy that they have a flow of business, right? Maybe I look at their Google review, or maybe when I search their name, maybe I see on the right-hand corner when you Google something that they have 95 positive reviews, and that they've replied to each one of their reviews, and they have 4.9 stars. All of these digital marketing things to me are just touch points of the social validation that, okay, this company is basically they're sharing their reputation with me. Maybe I could have learned that after their meeting, but I'm going to judge them on that fact because I'm trying to sort through 11 people that want to give me bids for this patio roof. So that if you put yourself and that was just something I did the last month when we were trying to put this roof over our patio. So if you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, how would you want to go about, acquiring someone to do work for you? It makes sense that if you can just reverse that and then have your small business deliver those metrics to the people. And I think if you do those key things of having active social media, doesn't mean you have to be the funniest, most entertaining company in the world, but having something active, being up on the major platforms, having a Google My Business page. Do you have reviews? You might have 100 happy customers. Go contact them and keep talking with your customers and have them share that positive experience with your business. And then, of course, a website that's easy to navigate, that comes into some sort of capture form that you can use as your small business, and however you go out and close your business. Those things are, quite honestly, in my opinion, non-negotiables for a company that's truly trying to grow. Because if you're not, I guarantee you that your competitors is. And more often than not, especially in home service and construction, we're seeing, again, I kind of alluded to, we're seeing private equity, we're seeing big money, AI systems move into this world, and they have those systems dialed in. They have digital processes. They were born on the ethos of systems and scale and marketability, and they have fancy consulting firms that work with them, and they are a local pest company, but they've got a true backing of a big empire behind them. If that's our competition, then as a small business owner, that's just par for the course of playing in business in those worlds. So that's the best way for me to think about it. However, if you're listening to this, just put yourself in the shoes of, if I was doing it, what would win me over as a customer? Yeah. And how would I like to be engaged? Would I like to get text updates that the crew just arrived to my backyard? Yeah, because then that way my wife, if she's like, oh, the dog's home and he barks at strangers when they come in the backyard, we know to put him up. So that's just like a little thing. It's like, yeah, that'd be convenient for us to get that little text. The crew's about to arrive in 30 minutes. Flip that around. If you're a small business owner, implement that into your process. So for me, that's how I've always viewed it. And I think that's just an interesting exercise for everybody to go through is just to see what you like, and then just put that playbook right into your own business.
Yeah. It's also, it's not the same person to person. That's one thing where it was, when was this? I can't remember if I've told the story on the podcast yet or not, but when my wife and I were getting married years ago, we were sitting down and we're going through that list of vendors, right? And it's the daunting task of like planning a wedding. And we were doing it during COVID, so it ended up getting shut down and planned again and ended up eloping. But anyway, for that initial go about with the planning the wedding, we're sitting there and she's like, all right, here's the vendors I want you to take care of. Here's the vendors I'll take care of. Let's sit down with our coffee and let's just start calling these people and scheduling meetings and knocking this thing out. And I'm like, love it. Let's go. So I'm there, 45 minutes later, had 2 or 3 conversations, doing what you're talking about, going to their website, looking at their social media. All right, I really like this one. Let's give them a call. I realized in that process that I'm kind of like the call guy. I want to hear you. I want to talk to you. I want just to have a good conversation and feel you out as a person.
Right.
My wife, I look over 10, 15 minutes later, she's done. And I'm like, hey, come on. Like, I know this isn't fun, but let's get it over with. And then we can just have, relax about the rest of the wedding stuff. And she's like, oh, I'm already done. I'm like, what do you mean? You had, almost twice the list that I had. She's like, yeah, but I only worked with people that had an online scheduling tool.
Yeah.
She's a control what you can control type of person. If she could go on there, I like it enough. Good website, decent reviews. This is the one I want to go with. Can I schedule online or send them a form fill? If not, sorry, you just lost my business. And weddings, it's not cheap.
Right.
So everybody has a different process that they go through. Another thing I want to mention, one of the things that I think sets us apart, or I know sets us apart, I've come from a marketing background in the past, working with contractors. You've come from a marketing background. And we hear it all day long from our audience. A lot of the people that we come and sit down with, it's not like they're not doing anything. Maybe they have a social media person, or maybe they had somebody develop their website or is doing SEO. One thing we can do is a gut check on that just to make sure that they're doing what they do. And if they get a thumbs up, great. Like, we're not here to take business away from other people. We're here to help you, and you've already got that piece figured out. But what we run into a lot is business owners that are taking their budget and they're handing it to a company. And it could be $500, it could be $5,000, it could be $10,000. And it takes that mental load off of their plate where they now go, oh, I'm doing marketing. And then now that's off their plate.
Right.
And now they focus on being a tradesperson again, or the business owner. And just because you're spending money doesn't mean it's being spent in the right way. And unfortunately, a lot of these marketing companies, it's why we've wanted to position ourselves differently of like, hey, we're not even this marketing company. It is a service we provide, but we're here for everything else that you need as a contractor. What we see is they don't know where those dollars are going, and they don't necessarily know if it's working or not. And so then we sit down, we do that again, a gut check with them where we dive into different stuff and we start asking hard questions that maybe the business owner knows they should ask, but they don't. So, okay, great. You're spending $5,000 a month on Facebook and Google ads. How much is going to Facebook? How much is going to Google? And they're like, why? Well, I want to know how we each perform so that I can understand where our dollars are going the furthest. If we took that money out of Google and gave it to Facebook, are we going to perform better? I don't know, case by case basis, but let's jump in. Let's look at your data. That company that's running these ads for you, when's the last time the ad was changed? Oh, we set this up, 7 months ago. Okay, so then what are they doing? How much of that, $5,000 is going into that ad?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they actually take a $2,000, monthly maintenance fee. Okay. So what are they doing for that $2,000? And even if it's, hey, go have a tough conversation with your marketing company and see how it goes. At least now we're arming them with some facts. We've jumped on calls in the past advocating for our contractors that we don't have any business with. We don't do it. They're just a part of our community. They need help, and that's what we're here to do. So that's one thing that I really think sets us apart is let's figure out where your dollars are going. Let's figure out what's working, what's not working, and let's be a little critical both of ourselves and those people that we might have given budget to either in the past or are currently, and let's just figure out what is going to work moving forward for your business in a marketing aspect, but then also tie it into the business plan. And then that's something that I think way too many companies out there, they're quick to take those dollars. They're not quick to turn around and see how that affects your business. And our background of understanding process flows, CRM implementation, best practices, helping creating operating procedures so that, as you scale, you have the right things in line. Like, this is all things that we get excited about. And I saw a lot of that in you, even through the conversation that we started in the beginning. So again, just pumped to have you on board.
Yeah, 2 things. So back to your conversation about wedding planning. So I was very fortunate. First of all, my wife was an absolute rock star, did a lot of the heavy lifting. So I cannot be on camera claiming that I did a portion of that if she's watching it this far. Also, we did it in Mexico. So communicating with the vendors was in Spanish. None of us we don't speak Spanish. So we had to rely on our tremendous wedding planner to tee up all the vendors. But the lesson that I just extracted from you is that whether your wife was more of a form fill it out, you were like a call. The small business, it's about reducing the friction that it is for people to work with you. So we want to make it frictionless for people to work. We want to make it so your business is easy to work with. Because that's a frustrating thing that can exist in the trades possibly is that, hey, yeah, they came over and I don't think I've had a quote in a week and a half. That's a problem, right? Because in their world, it's, hey, I don't know, maybe they forgot about me. Like maybe they're too busy, whatever it may be. So I think if you can think of this and you're a small business owner, if you can think of like, how do I make it as easy to work with me as possible? If people do preferring calling for the home service, I think I just read a statistic, 38% of people still prefer with that home service type work. You're getting a fence, you're getting a concrete, you're getting a roof, you're getting your driveway refinished, an HVAC guy's coming over, a plumber. 38% of people still prefer to call the phone and schedule the thing. So especially if you're dealing with maybe someone that's in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, that they don't want to be filling out an online lead form that they clicked on a Facebook ad. That's not very natural to them to go down that pipeline. Maybe they don't trust it. For them, it's calling, hey, come out at Tuesday at noon. Great. Is my small business set up to where if someone calls and has that request, that we can go out and service and try to close that business? While also having maybe the little bit of the younger crowd that says, hey, yeah, I don't want to talk to my plumber on the phone. I just want to hit a button that says he'll be here or she'll be here at Tuesday at 4 p.m. and I don't think about it until then. So it's hard, but it's necessary to be able to be that way to a lot of your customers because your customers are very, very different. So I always think about that as like, I want to make it easy for when I work with clients. I want them to feel very, very easy to work with me. In a perfect world, it's stress-free, it's painless, and we're value adding. We're not giving them more homework to do, right?
Yep.
The second aspect is I think that small businesses, I mean, when it comes to more, I think marketing is a function of what are we putting out, where's our distribution, and where's our customer. If you're telling me that 90% of your businesses are captured by yard signs, I'm not here to convince you that you need to do sophisticated Google leads. If you're telling me you have a humming pipeline of business purely from yard signs, great. I think you should explore that revenue. Or if you're already, like you were mentioning, if you're already working with a marketing agency, I'm not going to trash talk the other marketing agency. I might challenge it and say, hey, have you heard, like you have a website, like you said, do you know what it's doing for you? Is anybody on there? How many people view it? Is that translating to business? I might challenge you with some questions like that to just get you thinking that if I was spending your money, these are the questions that I would want to ask a marketing agency. Because I do think there's a tendency to just gravitate instantly to, can I buy warm, ready leads that are ready to close my business? I think sometimes that gets exploited from people that know that lead generation in that type of prepackaged hand delivery way can be very attractive. You're basically selling people you're selling pain pills in a way versus I like to sell exercise. Which one's easier to do? It is more challenging to sell exercise, but what that means in that analogy is that, do you have the fundamentals in place? Do you have systems? Do you have somewhat of a follow-up process? We think that we can help your small business deliver and grow organically. We can deliver leads to you. Of course, I love being able to pass off leads to people, but I would want your business to grow in a sustainable way so it's not feast or famine. I want you to be able to say, yeah, we have 10 clients calling in this month. Month 3, we have 40. Month 5, we have 100 a month because we put these processes and systems in place. That kind of combines marketing and sales operation, a little bit of sprinkles of consultancy work in there. We think that's much more valuable and attractive a way to approach it than it is to just try to constantly be going out and hunting, right? We want you to do, in financial advising, we called it farming and hunting. You can go out and caribou hunt, we would call it, which would be, landing someone that says, I just sold my company and I have $10 million of liquid cash that I need to invest. Oh my gosh, for me as a financial advisor, that's wonderful. I could move their money into a portfolio. We could manage the money. Everybody's happy. They have a problem. We have a solution. Great. That's whale hunting. I think that's the people get pulled towards that because it's very attractive. You could do whale hunting in your business, but you also do farming. You also want to plant seeds that you're gonna be able to, have the fruits of your labor in a few years from now or a few months from now. That might be more of that background marketing. That's developing an online profile. That's doing some nitty-gritty type of under-the-table marketing work that will pay off in the future. So if anything, it's just having these dynamic conversations with people when you interact with, and this is something that you've made a core part of this group, and why I think it works so well, why I think there's so much trust, is that first and foremost, use our group as a community. Use our group as an educational hub. Come here, just be around like-minded people that share the same stresses and challenges and bills due, and they get it. Shake their hand, meet people, share a coffee and bagel with somebody that is going through something similar. That doesn't exist for a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners. It can feel very isolating. It can feel very just intimidating to be going out in the world and just making something of your own. A lot of pressure on people's shoulders, a lot of sleepless nights, I got to make payroll. I got 11 people that are counting on me to do this. It's a tremendous pressure. If we can just be at anything as a bare minimum, a free resource to engage on the Facebook, share a laugh, share a conversation, be a part of a community, that would be a tremendous win for everybody involved. If there's ways we can help your business by offering the various solutions that we have in place, great. Then it's another win-win situation. But I think it's important to realize, and that's why I think we're so unique. That's what made me join the group, because I was attending these events and seeing it play out in person. So I think if you're listening, if you're on the fence about being active, the most stress-free or just the easiest entry point, again, back to that frictionless mindset, just coming to an event, being involved, commenting on people's posts, that's the start. And then that's helping develop your professional profile and business in and of itself. And then, yeah, great. If you want to work with us, great. We'd love to share the techniques that we've used to help other people grow. But it shouldn't be like, I can't engage with them because I'm not going to be a customer. That's not what we want as an organization. And then for your business too, how are you involved with the community? Not everything for you has to be a transactional sale type thing. How can you kind of mirror that same mindset into your business? Funny thing happens is that your business really starts to take off and sales start to explode when you kind of have that approach of service of others first. It has a funny way of just coming back to you because people want to do business with the people that they like and enjoy being around.
Yeah, relationships is such a huge piece of everything that we do around here. And this is how I can, at the end of the day, rest my head on my pillow and know that we're not just a marketing agency. We're not just a contractor education resource, and we're not just a networking group. We're this combination, because I sit down in a marketing meeting, eventually gets to the point of, all right, budget. Where are we at? What can we afford? What can we carve out? And what do we need that budget to end up doing for us? And what does that timeline look like? Sometimes it's just not there. The pieces just aren't there. The beauty of it is I get to walk away with, okay, or the business owner I'm sitting down with gets to walk away with, okay, here's the next few things that we can do to where next time we sit down, maybe there is a little bit more of a budget available to us. In the meantime, I have an event every third Tuesday at 7 a.m. here at the Business Foundry. I need you to come to that. And they're like, well, why? I'm like, because if you do restorations, there's going to be plumbers in there. And if you do mitigation, there's going to be plumbers in there. Those plumbers, they shut off the water, and then they are standing next to a homeowner who's distressed looking for their house to be repaired. Congratulations. That's a partner for you this can last 10 years. This could last forever for your business. So how do we capitalize on the things that we have from the community that we have? Also, let me introduce you to a couple guys, because you're a younger business owner. Let me introduce you to my friend over here. He actually is in the same trade you do, and he loves to give information away. He loves to be that mentor, and just a great guy, great gal, whatever it ends up being. So that's how I know that we're onto something here with the holistic approach. And then it also comes back down to, we've hit on a couple things of how do you treat your leads? how are they falling into your funnel? You know, so many marketing companies reference the funnel, but you know, is your funnel friendly to the click? Is your funnel friendly to the phone call or the online schedule or the, you know, I want to come meet you in person? Like, who are you optimizing your business for that experience? I think that's just an extremely part that I'm glad we have that shared foundation of. It's not just what happens when the lead comes. We know how valuable that lead is when it's a real ready to buy client. We know how valuable that is. The last thing we want to do as that marketing piece is get those coming, go to hand it to you, and then now there's a fumble, or we're passing the egg and the egg drops and now it's gone. And it's like, okay, we can only do so much unless we take that next step and start looking at, and now what happens when the lead comes in? Now, how are you managing that lead? How are you communicating with them? How are you following up? Are you doing what you say you're going to do after you talk to that client? Setting up processes is the only way that that's a scalable event. So that's what we want to focus on, if that's the focus of the business. Some of these guys just, hey, I got my one crew. I just want to stay busy. That gets us excited too. It's a different conversation, but we can also help. So, yeah, man.
Well, your point there is that, like, giving away information. Like, look, I'm if you're going to start seeing the group, I'm going to be posting quite a bit of just my ideas. And you can use them, you cannot. If you want us to help execute on the marketing initiative that outlines in them, great. I'm going to start dropping more and more pictures, videos, blogs, graphics that just generate some ideas. I am working on one right now. If you are in that camp maybe of just starting, or your budget's a little bit tight, I'm developing I'm calling it the 100 under 100. It's 100 marketing ideas for that you can do each one of them for under $100. So if you want that, shoot us an email, shoot us a message. I'll send it over to you. It's not something you buy. I'm just going to email it to you. I'd rather see you take the 100 under 100, use that, make a couple $1,000, level up your business, level up your systems, get a software, be able to afford Google ads, and do some maybe more sophisticated marketing work. I'd much rather you take that, run with it, come back to us in 6 months and say, hey, I implemented that and business is great. We're doing this, and it's booming. So again, that leads back to the ethos that we're here to help. We're here to be a resource. It's not all about client service work and that sort of thing. We do believe that we have a tremendous value and a tremendous offer, and just because of the team that's around us, that's helping us pull off this podcast, you name it, the building here at the Business Foundry. I mean, we think we have a tremendous offer that if you work with us, you're going to get, you're going to grow your business. But I think that just speaks to the ethos. I keep returning to that you've put through this entire group is how can you be of service? How can you help people? It doesn't always have to be dollars and cents. I mean, it goes beyond that for these small business owners. And then you can be proactive. You can make an introduction. Countless times when I was a financial advisor, the best way we called it to gain business was to make other people money. So I was a financial advisor, but if I knew if I could help attorneys or CPAs or something else, if I could recommend them to my client, or just outward and being networking in that manner of just sending business outward, it comes back to you tenfold. So when you do network, when you do come to the event, flip it around. Maybe if you're intimidated by networking events because you've had some bad experiences, or even if you felt a little bit uncomfortable or too pushy necessarily just handing out your business cards and trying to gain business, make it a fun game of can I connect 10 other people to this person's business? And just try that, because I think ironically when you do that, you will then get back business coming back to you, because they're going to feel somewhat of a social obligation to help you out as well. And it's just putting goodness out into the world. It flows back to your business. So we can implement those ways. If you come to our events, we have monthly meetups. There's dozens and dozens. That's going to be hundreds and hundreds very soon of every single month showing up here. It's very low pressure. It's fun. It's engaging. It's being part of something that's bigger than yourself. We welcome you here. We welcome you to be a part of it. And we think 2025 is setting up to be a tremendous year for a lot of folks. So we welcome the camaraderie, we welcome the friendship, and we welcome growing with you. And I'm just truly excited to be a part of this team and helping people unlock and achieve their dreams and what they want to do.
It's a very rewarding thing to be on our end. Like, we get to talk about, how to help and how we can help businesses and do all this stuff. But there's a reason why we're sitting here, and the reason why we do it is because it is very rewarding to see. It's like, I hate to, minimize it, but it's like having your children, come do something amazing. Like, it's less of, putting them in that box of like, oh, it's like a child that I'm teaching or raising or whatever, but it's more of that I'm watching somebody that I'm proud of succeed, and somebody that's, maybe not implementing everything we throw at them, but maybe just little pieces. And that's, again, I think what makes us different is we get to give them the pieces, then we get to tie it into a business plan. We get to put it into a roadmap. So it's not all of a sudden, hey, you don't have a bookkeeper, you need to find one. You don't have an attorney that's done your contracts, good luck. You got to get those reviewed. Hopefully you don't get sued first. Also all these other things, and then marketing, and good luck. And it's like, man, you have a lot of opportunity. You can pay us a ton of money and we'll take care of it. It's like, that's the opposite of how we go about it. It's, oh, you don't have a bookkeeper? Okay, are you looking for somebody who does this? Perfect. Let me put you in a text message. Now the conversation started. There is no homework assignment other than keep the conversation going.
Right.
Man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know we could talk about this all day. So I think one of the things that I wanted to kind of do a little soft announcement for, because we still need to work out the details, but I already know we've talked about it, is starting doing more, Cooper Spotlight marketing talks, getting you in front of this microphone more, because as this audience obviously has seen in this last, 45 minutes here, whatever it is, you have a tremendous head on your shoulders and you have a lot of great ideas. And that's one thing I've been excited about already, is seeing these ideas roll out, where it's just been, hey, do you mind if I go at it this route? I'm like, that's very creative. Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. One of the things that comes to mind is these blog posts that you've been putting out. The 100 in 100, that's one thing I'm very excited for, but there's little stuff of, you were telling me the other day, I was on Twitter or X, and I was scrolling, and I saw this statistic about aging in place, and it got the wheels turning. So then I started doing research for the construction community about where do they fit into aging in place. And I realized, oh man, you got to open up walls to get wheelchairs in. You need ramps to get into the home. You need more accessible showers, no tubs, like all these different things. And you're like, man, there's a whole business model here. And we have the data to back it up that, man, there's a aging in place population surging right now. More and more people are having to make that decision of, do I go to a nursing home, or do I modify my house to be able to stay in it longer? And the next thing I know, you spit out a blog post where it's got tons of great information, and then like, why stop at a blog post? Let's spin this into a marketing idea. So you talk with Amon, our project manager, and all of a sudden it's like, yep, we can execute on something like this. All right, if your business is interested and you like the blog, sit down with us and let's think about implementing. Like, what a creative process that's derived from a data-driven insight. Like, I just love that mentality. To wrap this thing up here, because again, we could go about this all day. We're gonna get you in front of it. We're gonna get you in front of the microphone. We'll give these guys what they want, these marketing snippets, kind of put you in the spotlight on a regular basis, so that we don't have to feel like we need to get all of our goodies out now. Is there anything else that you wanted to address and just say to the audience to wrap things up here?
Well, first of all, just thank you. Thank you for kind of taking my bulleted and highlighted emails. If you get emails from me, you'll see my formatting. I think this is the way I like to read. It helps me see it. My eyes glaze over if it's a long, dense paragraph, because I sent you that and you were like, yeah, I think this does make sense. So first of all, thank you for taking that and running with it. I think if anything, it's just reach out. Don't be afraid, or don't feel like, the hesitation sometimes of engaging with groups because you think you're going to get pulled into some sort of process of working with us. It couldn't be farther from the truth. Reach out, ask questions. I truly would give away all. That's the whole ethos behind those, giving out those blogs ideas, is just putting out ideas out into the marketplace. I think if you're maybe just a little bit of homework I'll give people listening is that if you start thinking the way those blogs came about is, again, my own personal circumstance. I put myself in the consumer's shoes, and then how would I want to engage? The aging in place thing, I've had grandparents where it's like, okay, how do we make sure that grandma can be in this house and maybe not be in a nursing home? What were some of the things that we would need to do to the house to kind of allow her to our house or her house to be able to have her live comfortably? That's a business idea. I just put out a blog. It's a zero from $1 million dog waste removal business. The reason I put that out, one, I believe it's a tremendous business, is because people pay to get their time back. If you can charge or do a service that allows them to get their time back, people will pay for it. My dog has a tendency to go out and find things he shouldn't have in his yard. So I'm like, man, if there's someone that could just come into my yard and remove all this, that'd be wonderful. And then I think a fire mitigation blog that I put out. So if anybody wants to execute on these ideas, great, take them, run with them. You want us to run the playbook, we'll run it for you. Was just seeing the wildfires in California. It's like, wow, okay, like land clearing and fire mitigation probably is going to be an important business over the next 5 to 10 to 15 years as we continue to see more of these. That's something that somebody could probably implement here in Colorado, up in the foothills or wherever. Those are just life experiences. So put yourself in the consumer's shoes constantly, evaluate your business through that. The weaknesses, the opportunities, the strengths will reveal themselves if you treat yourself as a customer in that process. And then you can capitalize. If it's your business, you can go and implement it. So that's my challenge to anybody listening. I think that's a great way, a great practical, non-academia way of thinking about marketing and sales and operations, is to just take it and do it like that. And then, check back in. We're going to be putting out more of these series ideas. And we look forward to, just engaging with more people and having a killer 2025.
Truly amazing to have you on board. I feel very fortunate that this ended up working out, but the reality of it is it's really extremely positive for this community of contractors. Just to have someone they can bounce ideas off of, and again, there's the little therapy aspect of it. Of hey, we're just here to listen. At the end of the day, that's really why we've been successful. Is all we do is listen, and if there's some actionable items that come out of it, great. Go back to work. Go do your thing. I've got some work to do on my end too, and then we implement what makes sense. So. Really excited to have you part of the team. Contractors, keep an eye out for 2025. Cooper's going to be around. He's going to be doing a lot of great stuff for us. So make sure you reach out or keep an eye out for any of his emails. He likes to reach out just to the audience from time to time and just have conversations, invite you to our networking. So that's something that I'll do very directly to you all. We are the Contractors of Colorado. We meet up in person, and it's a contractor-only meetup here at the Business Foundry every third Tuesday of the month at 7 a.m. So I invite all of you, if you've never engaged with our community, this is a fantastic way to start. We have anywhere from 50 to 60 contractors show up, and the only business professionals that are not contractors that are welcome in the door are our tight-knit group of affiliates. And so there's not this aura of professionalism. I don't want to say that necessarily, but there's not this feeling that I got to be polished. I need to be wearing my blazer and come in here. We do it at 7 a.m. for a reason, and we're out of here wrapping up by 8:30 with open networking until 9, because I know that some of you came in your boots for a reason. You're going straight to a job site, and it means a lot that you'd carve that time out and even meet with us in the first place. So I want to invite everybody, third Tuesday, 7 a.m. here at the Business Foundry in Lone Tree. Should pop up right on Google for you. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you again, Cooper, for being here, being a part of everything we have going on. Contractors, have yourself a great day, great rest of the week, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody. See ya.